Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. As you know, for decades, this chamber and many organizations across the country have been advocating for comprehensive immigration reform. Now more than ever, it's important to continue to have this dialogue. And so we're happy to have Jeremy Robbins, the Executive Director of the American Immigration Council, join us. They've done a lot of work. They've gathered a lot of data, and they want to share that information with us. Jeremy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Murillo.
Absolutely. So first of all, tell us a little bit about the American Immigration Council and what you're doing here in Texas.
Absolutely. So the American Immigration Council was founded nearly 40 years ago to shape a more fair and just immigration system through legal advocacy, research, partnerships, and coalitions. And Texas is ground zero for all the reasons you'd expect. What happens in Texas spreads to the rest of the country, and Texas really tells the immigration story in all of its facets. And so you think about a state where 17.8% of the population is born in another country, or a place like Houston where 24% of the people in the city are immigrants, and people are coming to work.
Yeah.
And that story we want to tell with data, and we partner with groups like yours and businesses across the state to do it.
So let's focus on that, the workforce piece, the economic driver that is clearly evident. Tell us a little bit about your research regarding workforce and the economic impact.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about immigration in the national discourse as if it's all about security and threats, or it's all about families. And both of the security is super important, families are important, but it's also about the economy. And you see that nowhere else more than in Texas and Houston. As I said, immigrants are 24% of the population of Houston, but they're 30% of the workforce. People are coming here to work. They are way more likely to be working age. They're also way more likely than the native born to start a company because people are here, they're taking risks. And you see that throughout the economy, and you specifically see it in the industries that are absolutely core to making Texas function, whether it's agriculture, whether it's construction, whether it's hospitality, or whether it's healthcare.
Yes. And on that note, we understand that in order for Texas to do well, such a big part is played by business, by employers, by entrepreneurs, and that if they are going to be creating these companies and these businesses, they need an active workforce. And there's this assumption somehow that these immigrants are taking jobs that other people would want. What does your research say? What does your data say?
Absolutely. I mean, you think about one of the greatest things happening in Texas right now is that when people are voting with their feet, they're moving there. Texas isn't static, it's growing. And if you can build, you can create more jobs, you can grow your economy. And when you think about the constraints on that, a huge one is if you want to have an agriculture industry, you don't just need managers, but you need people who are picking crops. You need people who are transporting things. You need people who are cleaning. You need people who are doing all of these jobs. And there are a lot of Americans who do those jobs, but not enough. And if you can bring in a diverse and talented workforce, you're going to make your community more resilient. You're going to make it more vibrant, and you're seeing that. We started and we support something called Texans for Economic Growth, which is now a coalition of more than 160 Texas business leaders, including the Houston Hispanic Chamber, very thankfully, and groups in Houston like Amergy Bank and the Greater Houston Partnership and Merrick, who are telling their story across all industries of how there simply wouldn't be a construction industry in Texas without immigrants, or an agriculture industry in Texas without immigrants.
And we need to continue to share that story so that we can remain a vibrant city that has a strong workforce and that we can also protect our borders. And so both can be true. We thank you for your advocacy. We look forward to getting more data from you because we're going to be sharing a lot of that data at our upcoming leadership conference and business expo. If you're interested, please visit our website. We have a lot of information about our upcoming leadership conference, our data conference, and so much more. We thank you for all the work that you are doing. We appreciate your research, and it is data driven. Facts are facts, and that's what we'd like to share with people who are involved with us. So thank you for your leadership. And before we close, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, look, I mean, Dr. Murillo, you've been such a tremendous leader, and I think when I think about the audience, this is a tough debate, and it's easy to think about, oh, what can I do? Well, the reality is you can do a lot. If you are a business leader, you can join groups like Texas for Economic Growth. You can write, if you're just a citizen who cares, you can write op-eds in your paper, and groups like ours can help. And so I just encourage people to use their voice and to follow your leadership. And I'm really grateful for all that you're doing for business leaders and for justice in Houston.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.